Good evening and welcome to the iGPFun Super Formula Lights League, round 2 of the first season of 2026. We are at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in Indiana, USA. I am Tom Kent in the commentary position. Alongside me is Jim Cunningham, who will take us through the action over the course of the next hour as qualifying is close to reaching its conclusion. Following the first round that we had at Spot, Johan Nett, who happens to not be here this evening, he came out on top 7 days ago. Brad Fulliger was second, and the Italian Max Bartolotta, who is also not around tonight, finished in third position. So a chance for a different race winner this evening, with being 33 drivers in the session here this evening. After Indianapolis, we go to Silverstone, the first race of the new year. Then it's off to Sebring in the US, followed by Road America and Motorsports Park in Canada. Then we go to Monza, and it's Donington after that, heading back to the UK. And then we head to the US once more at Laguna Seca for round 9. Round 10 will be at the Miami International Autodrome. Yes, the circuit where Formula One race at every year. That is also included in the calendar. And then we head to the final European run-in of the season. First of those being at Zandvoort in the Netherlands, and then Barcelona in Spain on the historic layout. Let's get a word with Jim and hear on what he expects to see around this beautiful Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Jim, good evening. And we head to Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Now, there is a briefing which the drivers will have been informed about. I'm just trying to find exactly what that is as we speak, but more on that to come whilst we run down on the remaining parts of qualifying, and then we just see someone go off the circuit there. That will have been, I think we didn't quite pick up on who that was actually, but we are now looking at the Justin Fields. It was Mehmet Taski now. So the briefing is as follows. There are no active overtakes on the first lap until after turn 6. That's the fast chicane on the run to the back straight before the 90-degree corner of turn 7. If they get a slowdown, or if you get a slowdown, you must serve it offline without hindering others. As always, you're not supposed to keep your position if you get a slowdown with cars around you. If you get a slowdown in turn 10R, that's the right-hander before you resume back onto the oval part of the circuit. You must serve it after turn 13 and well off the racing line. Aim to keep 2 wheels on track on the inside of corners. Overall, just drive normally with a natural line and there should be no problems. In turns 8, 9 and 13, the driver should use the inside curb, but putting the inside tyres on the grass will trigger a penalty check. It is okay to have the outside tyres slightly off track if your inside tyres are not on the grass. We're approaching the end of qualifying, and it's Nick Nagler who has set the fastest time. Unless Mehmet Sassi has something to say on that. Well, he doesn't, because he's just stopped at pit entry. And so that should be that as far as qualifying is concerned. I think Adam Telsman is the only driver on circuit who has yet to post a lap time in this session. But I'm sure he'll be focusing on the job in hand in the race. We had 42 drivers last week at Spa. Tonight is 33, so a little bit reduced, but still plenty of competitors determined to make up for what some may feel was a lackluster of a race at Spa-Francorchamps. And to all those who have tuned in, welcome you. Hope you've had a good Christmas and a good Boxing Day to go with that. And now tune in for some iGPFun Super Formula Lights League fun around this beautiful racetrack, home of... And it's Nick Nagler on pole position ahead of the man who finished second last week, Brad Filliger, alongside. Then we have Stefan Dodderer and Alexei Yukic on row number 2. Ludwig Ransson and Marius Anderson are on row number 3, followed by Chris Patel and Tony Jimenez. Kevin Byland and Robert Ridgway round out the top 10. Ridgway the highest of the Americans in the field. Then it's Mehmet Sasky and Patrick Williams alongside each other in 11th and 12th. Andrew Harris and Richard Van Veen off 13th and 14th. Vandy Flynn and Scott Taylor on row number 8. Justin Fields and Denny Cornu make up row 9 ahead of Vincenzo Talmina and Jimmy Santos, running out the top 20. Then we've got Nguyen and Marcello Caruso on row number 11, followed by Harry Sasden and Kuchi Ito. John McKenzie and Clark Williams are 25th and 26th places. Paul Distelli and Matthew Gracie are next, and then we've got Dorian Arroyo and Alex Lahn on row number 15. Salim Manjo and Adam Talsma make up the 16th row, and the man at the back on his own is Sam Roberts. I imagine so. Just waiting on a few drivers to make their way onto the grid. Robert Ridgway, Clark Williams, and Sam Roberts were waiting on. I think the 2 minutes have eclipsed now since the session had transitioned to the race, and we are good to go here at Indianapolis. The lights are coming on now. When the extinguisher we're racing here at Indy, one light is on. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Lights are on. Lights off, it's good into a good go from Nick Nagler. Look at likewise. Has got Yukic on his tail on the approach to turn number 1. Now remember, there are no active overtakes until the exit of turn number 6. And the drivers are just behaving themselves just as they were doing so at Spa 7 days ago. So it's Nagler who leads the way, and it's Filliger second. It's Dodderer, Yukic, Ransson is in 5th position. It's Anderson and Patel. A little bit of switcheroos going on in the field, but no proper overtakes just of yet. The driver who's dropped down the order is Clark Williams, but that's because he didn't take the start. But I think he's coming out of the pit lane in a moment. Now that they're past turn 6, active overtakes can begin. And that's Byland through. The Swede past the 2-time champion of 2025, Tony Jimenez, and Byland is on the move. And he's got some work to do. Looking further down the field, we're looking at Marcello Caruso, and that's a collision there with, look like, Jimmy Santos, and that ruins Santos's rear wing there, and I wouldn't be at all surprised to see the pair of them both in the pit lane. Further up the field, that is Ludwig Ransson running in 6th position for the LR competition team, and they're hoping for high results in 2026. There's that's Patel going through on Ransson for P6 at turn number 1, and that is the American through. The highest of the American drivers in the field is Chris Patel. I do take my word back actually, because I forgot to mention the fact that Chris Patel is American. It was the highest of those on the grid. Oh, and that's Ranson into the gravel at turn number 4, Jim. It's almost like he locked the rear wheels and the car just... There is Brad Filliger with Dodderer right behind in the battle for second position. But it's a super start from Nick Nagler. No mistakes from Lights Out. And the top 4 remain the same as where they were on the grid. We've got 36 starts line ahead of us with almost 2 of those done and dusted already. There we look at Denny Cornu, who is being passed by Harry Saston by the looks of it. Unless it's Vincenzo Tomina, actually. I think it's Tomina's just gone through. There is Harry Sasson, the next car behind Cornu. That's Dodderer going through on Fulliger for second place. Dodderer on the inside of Brad Fulliger at turn number 1. And that's the Dutchman passing through into second position, Jim. That was a good overtake. And that's, way to do there was Mehmet Taski, and that's costing the position to Andy Flynn on the approach to turn number 3. And now 4. And Flynn is hoping he can do his American fans proud over the course of these 36 laps. Of course, Indianapolis, the home of the United States Grand Prix for Formula 1 all those years back. But now we are looking at the Super Formula Lights cars heading through turns 7 and 8 and 9. And it has to be said, everyone's behaving themselves, knowing where the best places to get overtakes done at. We look at Luigi Ranson trying to make up for lost time after that spin at turn 4. And he's got Aldis Stelly, the Swiss driver, to get by to begin with. He's already got through on Adam Talsma. And now they're coming down the pit straight now. This should be easy picking here for the LR competition driver as he goes on through. He still has somewhat of a nose ahead, but Ranson was always going to have the inside line for turn number 1. Matthew Grace has got damage to his car, so we should expect him to be in the pit lane sooner rather than later, Jim. I wonder if he's hit the back of someone or maybe just took too much curb at some point in the race. And Guyan's gone round, Jim, as well as Justin Fields. Don't know whereabouts they... Oh, that's over at turn number 7, and we're going to see why here. It's Nguyen who spins first, I believe. Oh, he had to slam on the brakes, and then Justin Fields just didn't. Yep. Oh, and someone else had to take evasive action. That was a dangerous rejoin, really, for Nguyen. I mean, Nguyen slowed down excessively to avoid running into the car ahead of him. Oh, Gracie's got hit. That's Gracie being hit by what looked like Ludovic Ranson, and he's been punted off the circuit, and it's effectively game over for the American. That was quite a bang, wasn't it? I said the leader of Ransom. I think it was Ransom. Yeah. Looking at Kyuchi Ito is being passed there by John McKenzie, going on through into 18th position. Although a little bit too... oh, he's got a problem there, McKenzie. I don't know what on earth that was all about, because he was in front heading into the corner and he fell back behind Ito again. Slow down for Marius Anderson whilst we're watching. I've mentioned about the briefing earlier in terms of when you get slowed. Oh, and there goes Harry Seston through on McKenzie. And McKenzie's also allowed Enquires through at the same time. And yeah, it was aggressive. But I just wonder whether McKenzie's got some form of handling issue, because he had to brake quite leisurely into the corner. That was the contact from Ranson. I did say it was Ranson that ran into him. And so it was. But as it is, Matthew Gracie retires on the spot. I don't think Ranson did an awful lot wrong, to be honest with you. Mackenzie's continuing to... Sorry, Jim. Mackenzie's continuing to tumble down the order. I don't know what's wrong with his car, but there is Harry Seston, who has just allowed William Ranson and Enquires to head on by. It looks like he's beginning to struggle for pace as well. Here's the Indian. Oh, and that's a spin now for Enquires, of all people. They're all beginning to struggle to find grip, Jim. Well, Nagler seems to be finding the most grip at the moment. His lead is now 1 second over Stefan Dodderer. And it's Brad Filliger in third place. Just posted his personal best lap of the race so far. And there they are, the leaders. That's Anderson through on Jimenez for position, or at least they were battling those two. But Anderson is the one ahead of the Spaniard. And that's him through into 6th place. Jimenez on his 7th place, sorry, my apologies. Jimenez down to 8th. We've got Patrick Williams, who's now 9th, ahead of Robert Ridgway. We've got Andrew Harris and Andy Flynn. So 4 Americans in 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th. There goes Robert Ridgway. That's just a battle actually between him and Andrew Harris at turn number 7. That's him past. And Williams can get on with the job and going after Tony Jimenez. But it's been that sort of race so far, Jim, where we are seeing battles, we are seeing overtakes, but not too many incidents. That was Denny Corniff fighting with Vincenzo Talmina and Richard Van Veen. That's the battle for 15th involving those 3. And further down the order, Alex Lon has just gone down behind Modulo Caruso. Caruso's on the move as well. Not too many drivers pulled out of this one. We've had 2 which didn't start the race. They were Clark Williams and Sam Roberts. Matthew Gracie, we also lost for a bit, but he's back in the race now. He is down a lap on everyone so far, so he's just going to have to try and get to the end of the race and score some points. 43 championship points on offer for the race winner. He's 42 for second, and it's a 1 point difference for each position downwards from there. So the chances are, if you finish the race you'll score points, and that is what this championship is all about, is consistency. Ludwig Ransson, who's had an eventful race so far, is running a 19th position behind Kyuchi Ito. Let's have a look. He's lived to fight another day, is the Frenchman. Yeah. Well, he is trying to make up for lost time, is Ludwig Ransson. And just to let you know, in case you are new to this series, there are no pit stops involved, or mandatory pit stops at least anyway. It's a straight sprint from lights to flag. And Ransson's now got by Kyuchi Ito for position. He's now into 18th place. The next driver he'll be chasing is Vincenzo Taumina, who's going after the Unity Racing driver of Denny Cornu. His last lap was a 118.2 for Ludwig Ransson. His best lap of the race has been a 117.9. There's an overtake from what looked like Denny Cornu on Richard Van Veen on the brakes at turn 7. And that was a superlative overtake there from Cornu. Straight on by into 15th position he goes. And to be fair, the door was left open by Richard Van Veen, and Cornu just accepted the invitation and went on through. We're on lap number 12, approaching the third way mark in this second race of the iGPFun Super Formula Lights League, the first season of 2026. And there is an overtake from Vincenzo Taumina going past Richard Van Veen for 16th place. Richard Ransson is the next driver behind the Dutchman, albeit 3 seconds back. The last lap, Nick Nagler was able to post a new fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 17.5 for the German, who's continuing to dominate, but he's only over a second ahead. So we saw what happened last week when Johan Annette had that spin, Jim, or he went off the circuit, which saw the field close up again, because he had something like an 8 or 9 second lead, had that spin, and then that made his job a little bit more harder. Well, Nick Nagler will know that he cannot afford to make the same mistake, because he knows the Donner will just go straight on by into the lead. Yeah, this is with... What's he been up to here? Well, someone locked up ahead. Oh, he went barrel rolling! Vincenzo Taumina barrel rolling. That will have caused damage as well. Now, who was that he collided with? Because... was that... that wasn't Kyuchi Ito, was it? That he collided with? It might be... it might be Marcello Caruso, actually, that locked up ahead. Richard Van Veen has also been in the wars whilst we were watching that. Don't know exactly what happened to the Dutchman because we were only speaking about him when he was fighting earlier on. Wow. So it's not Marcello Caruso that came together. Well, at least he was able to get back to the pit lane from that. Now, what has he done here, Marius? Oh, that looks like a... Yeah, that'll be an equipment failure for Marius Anderson. And that was a terrible shame because he was running in the top 8 before having his issues. The show must go on, as Brad Filliger knows all too well after his splendid showing at Spa, finishing in second place. He's in the podium places once more, chasing after Stefan Dodderer and Nick Nagler. I will say Dodderer, who was able to respond to Nagler's pace, has done so again on this lap, Jim. His last lap was a 1:17.4, and that's the fast lap of the race up to this present moment. Further on behind Filliger, you've got Yukish and Chris Patel in 4th and 5th. I don't think it's going to be too long before they catch up to back markers soon. I mean, the next back marker that the leaders will be chasing will be the South African Celine Manju, who's running in 26th position down the order. They are around about 16, 17 seconds off him as we speak, so they won't need to worry about back markers just yet. One minute 17.480, Nagler posted. 1:17.426 from Stefan Dodderer. Dodderer continuing to get the gap down ever so slightly on that, but this is encouraging from Stefan Dodderer compared to what we see from him at times, where as much as he is quick, he can get involved in someone else's incident, but no such worries for him tonight. Right on the tail he is, and Yukish is now 2.5 seconds off 3rd place. Brad Filliger, as the 16th lap is about to be ticked off by the leaders. And you can just see Chris Patel is close up to the gearbox of Yukish, trying to take a different line to what the Montenegrin is doing. You can just see that the wider line that Yukish was able to take at that penultimate turn has helped give him the traction and momentum down the pit straight. You could say that Nagler was able to respond to Dodderer's pace. It's not fastest up of the race, but it's close to it. And Dodderer only did a 1:17.7 on the last tour. But there is Patel on the tail of Yukish for 4th place. Further down the order, we've also got a battle involving Mehmet Taski and Denny Cornu for 13th place, coming out of turn number 6. approaching the halfway mark, and so far so good for the man who has led from pole position. Is it going to be a lights to flag victory for the man who's only just recently joined the iGPFun Super Formula Lights League? The first time in a long time anyway, but he's racing like he belongs in this series, that's for absolute sure. Well, I can tell you that Andrew Harris has also been in the wars, and off goes Marius Anderson into the barrier. Now, who was that he collided with there, Jim? Nobody. He just... What have you found with Andrew Harris then, Jim? Because he came into the pit lane with some form of issue. Now, we don't know why he came into the pit lane. I'd like to think we can get an idea as to why. Because he was running the fringes of the top 10, wasn't he? If not the top 10, and he's fallen way down the pack. The laps are continuing to wind down. 18 laps down, 18 to go. That's an overtake from Denny Cornu on Mehmet Taski. Venturing through into P12. Scott Taylor's the next driver ahead, who is continuing to impress. And I can tell you that in terms of the lap time comparisons, out of the top 4, Chris Patel was the fastest of them. So now he's got by Aleksej Ukish, and we're beginning to see the pace that we've been waiting for from Chris during the course of this race here at Indy. Another driver's in the pit lane is Alex Lahn, for whatever reason. And there is that Alex Lahn coming out of the pit lane? It can't be, surely. I think it might be... back in the races, Andrew Harris, albeit down the order. There we look at Chris Patel running in 4th place, trying to scamper off away from Aleksej Ukish. He's going to have to work even harder if he was to finish on the podium today. Chris Patel. Now, last week, he finished... Where did he finish in the race at Spa? Just trying to see where he had ended up, considering it was a big field. I don't know if he actually competed last week, did Chris Patel. So this is his first race of the new season. That is the overtake we are seeing on Ukish not too long ago. And that's a back marker which is sandwiched in between Fulliger and Patel. And onto the back straight they come. And there we see Patel going by the back marker. That must be, I think it might be Salim Manju. He's just passing. It's not like he's had damage, to be honest with you, Jim. Like you say, he just seems to be off the pace. But this is a relatively new experience for him, so let's not hammer him too much. It is going to take some time for him to get to the swings of understanding what the car can do for him. We look at Engayam in 19th position, ahead of Jimmy Santos and Harry Saston. Not too long left in the race. I did say that the race was going to go on by quite quickly here, but no such problems for Nick Nagler, who is continuing to lead. His gap has gone up to 2 seconds. Alex Lon, who I did mention earlier, has now retired from the race. He's gone no further here. The drivers who are no longer circulating, they are Alex Lon, Marius Anderson, Richard Van Veen, Vincenzo Taormina, Marcello Caruso, Clark Williams and Sam Robert. That's Salim Manju getting out of the way of faster cars coming through. Doesn't feel like Patrick Williams and Tony Jimenez are able to do much about those ahead, so it looks like they are consigned to where they're going to end up finishing here today, which is deja vu really for Tony Jimenez, because he wasn't able to do a lot about the leaders at Spa, and as a consequence he ended up where did he end up finishing in that race at Spa? I'm just trying to remember off the top of my head. I'm sure he finished he was in the top 6. He was in the top 6, yeah. I mean, as much as I like this circuit, it just doesn't feel like a lower formula circuit, does it? This is one of 5 American rounds for this season. We go to, one of 5. So we go to Sebring, Road America, Laguna Seca, and Miami, which is one of the recent additions which iRacing have put in. Do make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. If you've already joined in the live chat, we do welcome you. And close to the end of this one. A fast stop of the race now from Brad Fulliger in third position. Yeah, he's coming alive a little bit now, and he's on the tail of $7 of a P2. When will the opportunity arrive for Brad Fulliger? He won't want to risk too much. It is a long season, 12 rounds in total. The driver's best 10 scores are counted towards their final. He needs... Yeah, you could just see Donovan taking a slightly wider line into the corner, which will help him with the momentum all the way down the pit straight, which will prevent Brad Fulliger from getting enough of a tow to help him pull alongside. Ten laps remaining. That's corner on the outside of Scott Taylor for P11. No, he was never going to make the corner there. Not in a month of Sundays, he was going to make the corner. Now he's got his hands full with Ludwig Ransson. Could get even better for Ludwig Ransson, but Denny Cornu being frustrated by Scott Taylor, as he has been for a few laps now. It feels like Ransson is closer to Cornu than Cornu is to Taylor. Now he needs a good drive out here, does Cornu, to be in that slipstream. What does he decide to do? Well, there's no question that Ransson's going to have all the momentum down the pit straight. Cornu's exit was fine as well, but is it enough for him to attack? And I think it is. Does he get it so down though this time? Just about. Just about. And Ransson is going through as well. Or almost. Yep. And looks like Ransson's going to be in line to go on by. But the trouble he's got is that Taylor's got the slipstream, which will help him drag towards Cornu on the approach to turn 7. Now he needs to watch. Fulliger's through on Dodderer, Jim. He's passed Dodderer for position, and he's into second place just as they went over the line to begin lap number 29. That was sensible driving, actually, from Dodderer, because he knew that once he got alongside, they were just going to end up losing time. Has he got enough time left in there? Well, he's not got a lot of time to go after Nick Nagler for the lead. Yeah. That is Patrick Williams and Robert Ridgway in the fight for 8th position. Antonio Jimenez is a further couple of seconds up the road. There we see. That's Scott Taylor again, isn't it? And look at Ranson. Ranson taking 2 in one go here. Ranson on the inside of both Scott Taylor and Denny Conner into turn 1. And Ranson goes through into 11th position. That was a great pass on the pair of them. No, it's actually just went through the runner fair. He's got to slow down. But let's take a look at that overtake again, Jim, because that was insane. That was a beautiful overtake all the way down to turn number 1. It's probably going to be as high as Ranson's going to go because Andy Flint is 7.5 seconds clear. There goes Mehmet Taski on Scott Taylor around the outside, providing, although Taylor's later on the brakes into turn number 1 and does well to keep hold of the position. Driver with the fastest up of the race so far, that is Brad Fulliger with a 1:17.3. He's 3 seconds off the lead. There goes Taski on Taylor on the inside. He should be through now, I think. He is through, yeah. So Scott Taylor's resistance is finally broken on those trio of cars he held back for quite some time. Not too long left here at Indy. We see that Nick Nagler is close to picking up his first win. We're arriving on board with Scott Taylor now. As we head down to turn number 1, to the outside goes the Englishman. What does Taski decide to do? Does he decide to be ruthless? Not ruthless enough, it seems. As Taylor goes back through into 13th position. Nick Nagler, who is close to taking victory. This is Salim Manju. I can see one man who is responding to the leaders is Stefan Dodderer in 3rd place, because he's just posted a new fastest lap, a 1:17.3 for him. And you can just see how close he is. Yeah, he's right on Fulliger's tail again. There's also a battle between Ranson and Cornu to go with that, but we'll stay with these two, Bolliger and Dodderer, on the pit straight to complete lap number 33. 3 laps remaining. Are we going to see a change for second place again between Brad Fulliger and Stefan Dodderer? We'll see soon enough. I think Fulliger's got to go defensive here. No, he just leaves the inside open there. Does Fulliger? I'm actually... Oh, they did. That was contact between Dodderer and Fulliger. A lock-up from the Dutchman has cost the pair time. He's got a puncher as well. Doesn't seem to be a puncher for him. There's been no damage to Fulliger's. He's Luigi Ranson and Denny Cornu, who are close to the end of their races for tonight, preparing for the new year. They want to go out on a high here. Nick Nagler has gone over the line, but of course he'll have extended the gap because of the backlog we saw with Fulliger and Dodderer a lap ago. But now he's not too far away from victory, which would be his first in the iGPFun Super Formula Lights. His first this season anyway. Penultimate lap, yeah. He's close to coming up to some back markers as well. There is Ranson and Cornu in 11th and 12th. And hats off to the Americans in the field. It looks like we're going to get 4 Americans finishing inside the top 10 today. Good on them for doing so. Chris Patel running the highest in 4th position, 1.5 seconds behind Stefan Dodderer, who looks to be settling for 3rd place now. I think he knows that his chances of going by with Fulliger are pretty much dead. And a podium finish will be something that he'll happily take. Final lap. Personal best lap of the race from Alexei Yukish, running in 5th place. He will be happy with his performance as well. The drivers made the most positions from where they've started. It has to be Adam Talsman. He began the race in 32nd place, and he's going to finish 1 lap down in 22nd. But at least he will get to the end of the race. No problem there. The top 3 will finish in the same positions as where they were on the grid. Nagler, who's got Harry Sutton in the way, will just take it easy. I think he may just back off from him. He's got so much time in hand over Brad Fulliger. He'll once again take a 2nd place finish, propelling him into the championship lead. But the day is going to belong to the German, Nick Nagler, who has led from lights to flag, has not put a foot wrong. Out of the final corner he comes. Nick Nagler wins at Indianapolis in the iGPFun Super Formula Lights League. A terrific drive from him. Brad Fulliger 2nd and inherits the championship lead heading into the new year ahead of Stefan Dodderer. And we've got Chris Patel, the highest of the Americans, in 4th place, followed by Alexei Yukish and Kevin Byland. Tony Jimenez will have to settle for 7th place. And we've got the 3 Americans next of Robert Ridgway, Patrick Williams and Andy Flint. Ranson holding on ahead of Cornu for P11. And then we just wait for the likes of Scott Saylor, Momentasking and Co to head over the line. Here they come. There's Jimmy Santos, who's not had a particularly good race, really, but at least he's remained on the lead lap, it has to be said. So at least he's brought that car of his home. And we've got Paul Desilly and Harry Seston, who will be the last driver on the lead lap to finish 21st place, and 23 championship points coming in the way for his season's total. Now we see the rest of the laps cars just going over the line. Let's run down on the race result here at Indianapolis. And we have a new winner of Nick Nagler, who crosses over the line first. 4.5 seconds clear over second place, Brad Filliger. And it's Stefan Dodder in third place. Chris Patel finishing strongly here at Indy in fourth place. Alexei Yukic fifth. Then we've got Kevin Byland, Tony Jimenez, Robert Ridgway, Patrick Williams, and Andy Flint rounding out the top 10 places. Then we've got Ludwig Ranson finishing in front of Denny Corner in P11. And we've got Scott Taylor in 13th, Moment Husky in 14th. Keith Ito in 15th, followed by John McKenzie, Justin Fields, Nguyen, Jimmy Santos, and Paul Destelli round out those in the top 20. We've got Harry Seston, who is the last driver on the lead lap. Then we had Adam Telsmer, Doyen Arroyo, Celine Manju, Matthew Gracie made it to the end. Andrew Harris made it to the end, albeit 2 laps down. The drivers that didn't make it were Alex Lahn, Marius Anderson, Richard Van Veen, Vincenzo Taumina, Marcello Caruso. We've got the 2 drivers that didn't actually take the start, Clark Williams and Sam Roberts. Yeah, I have to agree. We didn't really see an awful lot out there, but at least it was relatively clean, like what we saw at Spa. But you don't have to wait too long until the next one. 7 days' time, we go to the Grand Prix layout of Silverstone, the home of British motorsport. And you know where to tune in. JP Broadcasting. Make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And you can keep right up to date with what is being shown on the channel itself, including this particular series. Jim, thank you so much for your company. And we'll do it again in the new year, of course. And we'll have one final word from you. Absolutely. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll do it all again in 2026 when the iGPFun Super Formula Lights League returns.